What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Speaking of entertainment, coming up on the program, Bruce Nowlin. Who's Bruce Nowlin? Well, you're going to find out in the next few minutes, so stick around for that. This week's shows, I'll be at the Rab on Friday night, my usual Friday night gig. That's where you'll find me most nights of the year, most Friday nights of the year. Will be at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, my usual video dance party, karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. The stage belongs to you. All I'm doing is pressing buttons, putting a little background music on. But mostly, it's all about you at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money playing pool, I encourage you to check that out. At the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Always something to do. Always fun. From 8 p.m. until 1 in the a.m. Come on out and play with us. I'll wait. Well, let's get into it with Bruce Nowlin. I got to Skype him, so if you're listening to the audio version of this only, I encourage you to check out the video version. Head over to my YouTube, youtube.com/user/Keys Dan, or just look up Keys Dan on YouTube. You'll see the Radio What emblem right next to my name. And you can see it right there. Let's get into it with Bruce Nowlin. Skyping Bruce Nowlin now.
Good enough.
Yeah, Bruce Nowlin in the house, man. Looking good. Hey, now that I got you here on the program, finally, let's give the people an idea of who you are.
Alrighty. Well, I got an album that came out in July 4th. It's receiving a lot of radio play on Skype and not Skype. Around the world, Spotify, iTunes, and to date, so far, it's sold about 10,000 copies.
Come on, Bruce Nowlin getting some recognition there. I love it. You know, to look at you, I see your Facebook picture, the picture that you have on Reverb Nation. It's you holding a guitar. So you'd expect that this is going to be some rocker. This guy has been doing it for years. He's got some rock to him. But then you listen to the music, and it's so chill. Oh my goodness, I'm using this music just to kind of relax to. Make me feel good. It's got some jazz in it, got some electronica. I mean, it says it right there. Electronica, ambience, new age. I mean, what made you get into that genre? I mean, have you always listened to real chill jazz music, or, tell me your life story, man. We got some time here.
I listen to a little bit of everything. Real big into a lot of different styles of music. I love Enya. I love Yanni. I like Metallica and Pantera and Slayer. George Strait. And so I draw from a lot of different musical styles. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Growing up in Austin, you gotta love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, you're living in Texas. I think it's the law that you like Stevie Ray Vaughan and maybe George Strait as well. There has to be some country and Southern rock thrown in there in the mix to kind of flavor your style. But growing up, I mean, you say you're from Texas, right? You spent a little bit of time. I guess I'm reading your bio. I don't really prepare for these things too much because I want the conversations to be a getting to know you. This way, while I'm getting to know you, my listeners are getting to know you as well, Bruce Nowlin. But I know that you're from Texas, and then you went to Penn State. But somewhere between being born in Austin and getting to Penn State. What was your life like growing up, man? Tell the people your life story. How's the family? How was school?
Pretty much after high school, I immediately got into the music industry. I had friends that had bands. I was learning um, to play various instruments, and I actually, for about 2.5 years, I worked in radio as a DJ, and ultimately being the performer, putting the music together was a bigger draw, uh, and for a good while, I was tried electric guitar and got into playing bass guitar and keyboards. My mother actually played keyboards, and that's what kind of got me more into it, into playing the piano, keyboards.
Got a lot of music in your blood. I could see it, man. Usually music. Well, I guess any job. You try out maybe what your mom and dad did, and then maybe you'll go your own path. But a lot of times, musicians, their path was laid out for them by their parents, by their grandparents. Somebody in their family got them into it. But you say you were on radio, and yeah, you kind of alluded to it. You went around the block on this one, but you go into radio and you don't make a lot of money on radio. The money that you make is the fame, the notoriety. I've been doing radio since '86, and I never really made a lot of radio on the radio. But it's when people hear your voice and go, "Oh, I kind of like the way that guy sounds. Maybe he'll MC my party." Now that's where you can make some dough. Did you find that when you were on radio?
Actually, that was the nighttime gig. They pretty much told us that same thing, that you're never going to get rich unless you're in one of the really big markets and one of the really big radio stations. And they actually hooked us up with some of the local companies that did provided DJ service, and I did a few weddings and a few parties and bachelorette parties and proms, and that was always entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, the tough part about that, I just did a wedding Saturday night. I do karaoke shows every week. The hardest part is the setting up and the tearing down. Once you're in the party and you're in the groove and you got people in front of you just having a good time, then you feel good. That's the good part of the job. But the whole being your own roadie. I was always my own roadie. I've been looking for a roadie since '86. You know anybody? No, nobody will ever set up my stuff the way I want it. But then you break down, you become a guitarist or a bassist. You pretty much you carry your amp, a couple of cables, maybe some foot pedals, and the guitar. A little bit lighter on the load in. Would you say?
Well, this one's no toy, but thankfully I only got this one.
Yeah.
Sure. Being a DJ, you got a lot more than just one.
Yeah. For those that are listening to the audio version of this, and I will put this out as an audio version, I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel and check out the video version. You'll get to see Bruce's smiling face right there next to me as I point. I'm pointing at your face on my broadcast software here. And Bruce Nowlin, we're getting to know you, man. You're growing up in Texas. What's Texas like? And I'm hearing a lot of people from California, especially the king of podcasters. What is it? Joe Rogan. He's about to move to Austin. I've heard good things about Austin. I've heard it's an island of difference in a state of a certain kind of thing. I mean, what is it growing up in Austin? What is that town all about?
Everything. You can their main strip where you can catch all the action is 6th Street. Still today, as it was when I was young, you can literally go from one bar to the next, and you'd hear blues at one bar, go next door, and they might be playing electronica. Go to the bar next to that or across the street from that, you might hear country, you might hear rock, and that's what opened up a lot of the whole town is like that, and that's what kind of opened up me to so many different styles of music. In addition to, my dad was a big Roy Orbison fan. My mom was, she, like I said, she played piano, and she was into classical music as well as Enya and some of the more new age type music.
I can dig it, man. Enya, for sure. That kind of what is it? That really, it's just, it takes you off to a foreign land. You hear the vocals and her vocals, just, and the music. It takes you to Scotland or Ireland or the Highlands. It takes you somewhere far off, even like a fairy tale land. Even listening to that kind of music, and you're really feeling it in that genre. You're fitting right in. Did you hear some of that on 6th Street? And I'm kind of amazed that if that's the Strip, why wouldn't they have called it a name like Duval Street or like Beale Street or like Broadway, or one of the big streets that you hear from city to city? That's the main Strip in this town or in this state. That's where you want to go. But 6th Street, they just went with that. Is that where you found yourself with your boys and friends growing up?
Pretty much all the time. That's where we'd, or most of the time, that's where we'd go hang out. And it was amazing some of the acts that you can actually catch playing down there. I mean, at that time, Sunset Strip in California, Los Angeles, that was the hot spot. I mean, so many new bands were coming around at that time. But to actually see some of the bands that were still up and coming show up in Austin and be down there on 6th Street, it was amazing to see.
Man, who'd you see? Bruce Nowlin? I mean, what was the amazing acts?
Yeah.
And put 6th Street on the walking tour. I always, when somebody mentions a hot spot, an area that they grew up in, I put it on the What Makes You Famous walking tour. So people are going to visit 6th Street. I know that they probably already have, since you say that's the big place. But what are the hot spots to go into? What do you recommend? And what kind of music do they play there, or do they switch it up?
Back then, I mean, it was not uncommon to actually see Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, even Jimmy Vaughan with Fabulous Thunderbirds, that Steamboat, or one of the other clubs. And I've seen Dangerous Toys. That was a local Austin band that was playing, and they're actually still together, doing shows. But
man, now I need to look up Dangerous Toys, find out more about them. Oh yeah, look at that! I just looked on the Facebook; they do have a page. So hey, find them. But how did those people affect you? What kind of music does Dangerous Toys do?
They were actually a '80s metal band, and their guitarist, he's now playing country, but it was actually interesting to see that change up. But they actually have one. Well, they have several big hits, but their biggest hit at that time was "Scared," and it was actually got a lot of rotation on MTV.
Man, I like that. I like putting no limits on your music. But when you're starting as a young lad, and you say you started playing guitar, was that the first instrument you picked up? And what grade and what year was that?
Oh, I was actually in high school when I started learning, and had a 6-string electric.
You remember what kind?
It was I think it was an Ibanez.
Hey, I have an Ibanez. I have a 120 in my closet right there. Can't play a lick.
Yeah, I got a Washburn back there in the closet.
Yeah, well, I mean, it came in one of those one of those value packs, I guess you get from Guitar Center, where they give you some strings, a guitar. It's not the greatest guitar, but it's not the worst. It had the double humbuckers on it. I also got the Squire Fender. I got a purple one, and I think that's why I bought it, because it was purple. But I figured hey, this is like the low end of Fender, and it kind of looks like a Fender. So I picked that up and still can't play it. I think I played like 3 chords. I learned down in Miami when I was living down there, from a doctor that played jazz. And he said, hey, try the scales and try this, the couple of chords. And that's it. That's all I got. They've been sitting in the closet. In fact, there's an amp sitting here at my feet, and it's been itching. It bothering me, because I'm talking to this microphone. I'm having a good time chatting with you, Bruce Nowlin, and finding out more about you. But I need to expand my horizons, man. I'm 51 years old. I need to actually learn how to play these things that I have collecting dust in my closet in various areas of my house. I'm glad that, man. I'm so jealous talking to musicians, but I shouldn't be, because if I worked at it, I could probably play as well. But okay, you started in high school. Who gave you that first guitar?
It was actually a friend of mine. He actually goes by the name Buddha, and he still actually plays. He's in Florida. But he
is that my cousin? Wait a minute. I have a cousin named Buddha Holly. His real name's Timmy, but he goes by Buddha Holly because he plays real chill music sometimes, but he plays a lot of Buddy Holly styled rock and roll, and he, puts the little glasses on and slicks his hair back, and he looks like Buddy Holly kind of. And he calls himself Buddha Holly. Wouldn't be my cousin, would it?
No, it's this guy. His real name's Daryl.
Oh, okay.
And he's actually he never really broke into the music scene big and on a major scale, and he's a culinary chef at one of the resorts down there.
Dig it. I mean, you know that you can make a living as a musician. You say you had your friends Dangerous Toys. They're a cover band. You could be a party band, play some of the hits, maybe collect 200 of the most popular songs, have them in your repertoire, and you could make a living in your own local area. You don't have to be Bon Jovi or Enya or Yanni or Pink Floyd or any of these people. You could make it on a smaller scale, make a living, 500, 1,000 a week. You may not make the millions, but you'll make a living. How do you fare in that scale from being a local artist, or have you toured?
I don't actually tour. I got a full-time job that keeps me occupied when I'm not putting music together, putting CDs out. I do make a nice royalty check from sales and from radio play. Definitely not making Bon Jovi kind of money, but not everybody does. I mean, there's only one Bon Jovi. Only one Yanni.
Yeah, you're making Bruce Nowlin money, which is good, and that's great that you're getting royalty checks. Because what did I read just recently? And I know I mentioned it on the podcast. I talked to a lot of musicians. What was it about? I think it was "Baby, I Love Your Way," and I never re-looked it back up. But he said he got over 50 million hits on Spotify and made a $1,200 check. What?
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't understand is Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and that's what a lot of the big bands like U2 and I think even Metallica got involved in it. The money that the bands make per song is really it's actually lower now than it was back when Glenn Miller was putting out music back in the early 1900s.
That's pitiful.
I mean,
it is.
Back then he was making 3 cents per song that was actually receiving radio play, whereas today a musician only gets 0.001 cent per song.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You've worked so hard to put something together. You make music out of nothing. It's a thought in your head, then it goes to the guitar or the drum or the keyboard or whatever, and then it goes onto recording material, and then it goes out to the world. You spend a lot of time coming up with that, and then you just don't get paid for it. People don't want to pay you for it. It's sad. It really is. And you mentioned Metallica. I know that they had the run in when Napster first came out. Oh my goodness! They went, "What is this thing? You're going to give my music away for free that I've been pouring my blood, sweat, and tears over?" Yeah, I could see Metallica getting involved with a lot of different litigation if they're not going to get proper compensation. I'm glad that they're out there. Bands like Metallica fighting for people like you. Now, are you signed with a record label, or is this independent artist and you're able to get your royalties that way as independent or signed?
Yeah, still independent, and actually have one agency that's actually still contemplating whether or not to sign, but still independent at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've been in this game a long time. So if you've been independent your whole life, why sign now? And you're doing decent. You got your day job. That's I have a day job. I call that my insurance job. And then I have the night jobs that, I have my fun, between this and the DJing stuff I'm doing online stream gaming. Oh, get that. 51 years old. Why is he playing video games? I don't know. It just seemed like something to do. But you put your fingers in different pots and you have fun doing it. But you have a steady job that helps you, that keeps the roof over your head. But now you have the ability to take your time with your creativeness. And man, I mean, give the kids that are listening an idea of how you built this empire, the Bruce Nowlin empire, from the ground up. When you started in high school, were you in bands? Were you going on 6th Street, going up and down and playing your guitar or what have you? How did it go? How did it start?
Actually, I did not play an instrument in a band. Actually, at that time, I was a roadie, and actually worked with that band for probably about 2 years as a monitor tech and the light tech, and we pretty much just kept plodding along, keep putting ideas in my head, getting my head around what I actually wanted to do, what avenue I wanted to pursue, whether I wanted to be the guy up front singing, which obviously don't have the voice for that, or playing the guitar, be the other guy up front that's getting all the attention, or just kind of step to the side, play bass. And actually, when I picked up the bass, I found I was a better bass player than I was a 6-string slinger, and just kept plodding along on the keyboards, getting that into my blood and getting better at that.
Well, I mean, break it down for the people. What is the difference between the guy in the front? Okay, I guess there's two different kinds of guitar players. You got the lead guitar and you have a rhythm guitar. Did you do lead or rhythm when you were doing the guitar part?
Rhythm.
Rhythm.
The lead guitarist, you got to be really good, really proficient, and have that showmanship. And whereas the rhythm, as long as you can keep good time, you can be a little more laid back. And definitely didn't have the showmanship or the chops that would be required to be a lead guitarist.
So Bruce Nowlin, who were you the roadie for?
Actually, I think they're even still playing. It's a local cover band. They're in the Waco area. The last I heard, called Lost Wolf, and I was with them for several years, and we toured pretty much all over Central Texas.
Yeah. Did you ever play for them, or was this primarily moving their equipment?
Moving their equipment, setting up their lights, and making sure the light show was staying on track, and keeping the monitors from squealing.
That's an important job, because you hear a whole crowd go, "Oh," when something squeals. "Ooh, ah, my ears!" And the lighting, man. Yeah, okay. I have to do that all myself. I wish I would have had a Bruce Nowlin back then, and even now that will set my stuff up. I mean, do you use? Well, did you have automatic lights that went to the sound, or did you have an actual?
All by hand.
Yeah. Well, did you have to program something, or I get that at this time you probably didn't have a lot of computer programming things.
Yeah, it was all by hand. The only thing that they actually had that was even automated was, which we never even used because the timing of it was never right, but it was basically like a sound sensor that would allow the lights to flash, and it would never follow in good time with what you actually wanted the lights to do, so we did everything by hand.
Oh yeah, these kids today don't know how good they have it. I have a 4-play, Chavez and American DJ lights that go up and they have great sound. Options where they'll pick up the sound and they'll give you a decent show. If you're just doing a karaoke show or even a DJ show, you could throw the right, that's just random lights. But for a rock show or any kind of a show, when you're doing the ballads as opposed to the heavy rock, you want different kinds of lights. You put the blues on, the blue lights on to kind of create a mood. Is that how it goes? I've never been a roadie.
Yeah, we had I'd actually talked them into actually adding an extra set of lights because when when I started with the band, they had basically your reds, your blues, your yellows, your greens, your whites, all up front to flood the stage. And when we did our first major festival, they set up in a old church that had been renovated. They turned the church into a bar.
What and, hell?
The way the band was set up with the drums, there was actually space behind it, and I actually took one of the spare light racks that they had in an emergency in case one of them went out, and put it behind the band. And they liked it so much the way it illuminated and made the glow behind them that they went ahead and added more lights.
See, you're inspiring people, man. I remember I was my first lighting kit in high school. I took electronics, so I know a little bit about electricity and how to hook up lights and stuff. So I didn't have a lot of money when I was first DJing, but I needed a few lights, so I put some lights in coffee cans, Cafe Bustelo cans, and then put like a plastic, different colored plastic, and those were my can lights. My can lights were actual cans. Back in 1986.
Real Power 20.
Oh, for sure, man. And I remember I used the light that was just it was too bright, and it got the can real hot. Oh, I almost blew the place up, set the place on fire. But you got to use 25-watt lights, 40-watt lights, nothing bigger than that, man, or else you'll light the place up. But I'm guessing that did you have store-bought lights, or how innovative were you in your lighting and your sound? Was it?
Yeah.
What did you have in your kit? And what year was this?
This was actually in the early '90s, and it was all commercial fare. It was all par 6, par 8s, strobes. We didn't have. I don't even think we had any speaker cabinets that were homemade. Everything was good quality.
That's pretty cool. You mentioned the strobe. I remember I used to drive people crazy in '86 with the strobe. I had that one that I bought, and it had that little light, and it just go click, 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 and people are like, "Oh, that is stop it, stop that, stop that light." That was all we had. We had that little strobe, that little box strobe, maybe with a green, maybe a blue, maybe a red that you could change colors every once in a while. But it was if you left it on bright white, forget about it. If anybody had epilepsy, you're going into seizure.
Always save the strobe show for the very end because they would usually close out with Metallica's Intercept. Man.
Yeah.
And the rhythm for that song was just perfect for a strobe light.
Heck yeah. And I've talked to bass players. You say they're not showmen, man. The bass players that I know, they have what I like to call, and I'm sure other people have called, bass face. Put the tongues out, really just work that as they're doing that, bass face. But you say it was easier to play the bass than it was to play the guitar, or it came more naturally to you?
Came more naturally. Yeah. You lose two strings when you're playing the bass, but all the notes are still there. All the chords, they're still there. They just came more naturally.
Yeah, I talked to my buddy Joey Fanstar. He's a hardcore 5-string bass. Had to have that extra string. I'm not sure what it's for. I don't know what any of the strings are for, really. I know that there's strings there, but what's that extra string for?
Get you a little more bass, a little more range, a little more creativity that you can have when you have the extra string.
Wicked,
a little more bottom end.
Wicked cool. You got to have that bottom.
Already bass, so.
Well, that's what Sly and the Family Stone said. Now we get some bottom. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah. That's cool, man. What the first band that you were in that you actually played for? Did you started on guitar and then you moved over to bass? And what was the name of that band?
I don't even remember that. That was too far back. Those were also some creative, experimental times.
Yeah. Well, what kind of music was it? All punk, or what kind of experimenting were you doing?
It was metal, rock, which, and I guess that's my mainstay outside of what I actually create myself is rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
But
well, explore, man. I mean, tell the people your creative flow. You went from being a rocker in a band, a bass player, and now when you're creating the music, is this all you in your own recording studio? All the instruments that you play? Because I'm hearing maybe like, is it drum machines or is it like really electronica? And then the bass part is live. Is it you? Man, how are you putting those tracks together? I'm listening. I'm loving it. And my wife listened. Yeah, I was playing it just earlier, and she's man, is that who you're talking to tonight? Because that was cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Tell us thank you.
Oh, for sure.
I use a drum machine, 3 different synthesizers, a chord keyboard. I got another chord keyboard that I'm fixing to order. 2 different keyboards. You can never have enough keyboards. I actually do all the mixing, all the editing, and all that myself. Put it on Logic, Apple Logic, and make it come alive.
So Apple Logic, that's the finishing touch. Is that where you, my mix mastering skills are very limited. It's mostly to audio, vocal only. Like when I finish this podcast, I will raise the levels and cut off the top part, and then I will take out the spaces on the audio version of this, so that way it sounds better and there's not a lot of spaces, a lot of ums and ohs, and it sounds better for the ear. Now the video version, I'll probably just leave it raw, pretty raw. I won't cut any of the spaces out because people are looking at your face, and they're kind of, gazing at you and trying to figure out, what's making that guy tick? What is Bruce Nowlin all about? But you have all these instruments. You got the piano from mom. Were you taught by your mother how to play the piano, keyboard?
Self-taught.
What?
Yeah, actually self-taught on pretty much everything. I took some guitar lessons, and found it to be way too structured for my own liking. So it was pretty much grab a song and just start picking at it and figure it out.
The even more impressive Bruce Nowlin teaching himself, man. He doesn't need anybody. No, were you okay, I'm guessing you're learning from records or maybe listening to the radio and just kind of playing along with the radio. Was this guitar or was this piano?
Actually, both. Um, and I find it even easier with the piano. Like if you're listening to Enya Waterfall, it's very a lot of synthesizer and a lot of piano that she uses in there, and it's you find a spot on the keyboard and just start pecking around until you actually figure it out, and the it just it comes easier on the piano than on the guitar.
That's fantastic. Did your mom, what did your mom think about you playing piano after her,
She's jealous.
what?
She's jealous. The she when she was learning, the she got proficient, but she never got good enough to actually uh, do it as a entertainment, a hobby, or showmanship. Play somewhere, and I guess I heard just enough of it when I was growing up that I was like, I'm going to learn that too.
Yeah. Well, I'd say slightly jealous, but we always want better for our kids, man. You're always going to be her baby forever and ever and ever, no matter what, man. And I'm sure she was proud. She had to be
Oh
proud
yeah,
of you.
yeah. She wished she could. She actually need to buy her a keyboard so that she can continue trying to learn. Because I was actually on vacation not that long ago, and I brought one of my keyboards uh, along with me, and she was playing with it, trying to learn, trying to bring back memories. And she's like, "I wish I had mine." So I need to make that happen.
Oh yeah, take care of mama because she took care of you.
Take
That's
care, mama.
beautiful. Oh, that's
Yep,
beautiful,
yep.
man. And hey, and for those that are lucky to have your mamas with you, and I have my mom and my 91-year-old grandma, my 91-year-old grandma. Still, I talked to her yesterday. Make sure you call them. Call your mamas. Call your grandmas. You know they love you and they miss you. If you think they don't love you and they don't miss you, they love you. They miss you. You need to call them. But
Definitely.
you're taking care of your mama, man. You're gonna get her a keyboard and make sure that she keeps that flow going, man. I like that. I like that a lot. My grandma, she just sent me a guitar that her and my grandpa, who's long passed away, but they bought it. I don't know, back in the 50s in Spain, and they sent it to me, and I took it to the local guitar shop, Palmer, right down the street here in Conway, Arkansas, and I had my buddy Ryan work on it. He said, "Man, I got the neck sanded down. I got the strings changed for you. Everything sounds good." So yeah, man. Have you ever played like a classic guitar? And what makes the classic guitar? The fact that it's been played a long time, and what what sounds best, Bruce Nowlin?
Actually, a friend of mine, I was over at his house back in deep November, and he says, "I want to show you something." And he ran to another room and he came back with a tweed guitar case, and I'm like, "I know what that is just by looking at it." And he opened it up, and it was a 1957 Fender Stratocaster, and he actually got it from his dad, all original. It's like, let me touch it. There's they're the older guitars. They're just built better,
Okay,
and you can actually now the newer guitars are a lot lighter because they've figured out through the years that the weight, being on stage that long, holding a 12-pound guitar on your shoulder and all that, is no fun. So they've lightened them up quite a bit and tried to retain some of the original sound by changing the way the pickups are wired up, but they sound better. It could be the weight, it could be the original way they were, the pickups were strong, but I think also just the fact that so many people have played the instrument through the years kind of adds a little nostalgia of its own.
Man, I get that on a different scale. I bought some Mackie V2s, and they're about 560 watts each. And then they came out with the Mackie V3s, and they said, "Oh, these are 11 pounds lighter, and they're 1,000 watts." Oh, okay. Well, that must be better. So I went. I got the Mackie V3s. They were lighter. They were 1,000 watts. They sounded great for about 6 months, and then they died. And then my Mackie V2s are still going because, those are made in America. They were made in America. The Mackie V3s, unfortunately, were made someplace else. Maybe China, maybe someplace else. But they didn't take the care, the quality. I'm not saying that made in America is the only way to go, but there's a care. That 57 Stratocaster, I'm sure somebody took care to put that together a certain way. Hey, Jimmy, no, I'm sorry. You need to solder that wire and make sure that gets tucked away in this little spot right here. No, you try it again. Because and then little Jimmy, whoever's doing it today is just on an assembly line, same wire going, same wire going. Yep. I imagine that the quality is better because they cared, and maybe they didn't have that assembly line mentality. I know assembly lines have been around for a while, but that guy that's building that guitar from scratch all by himself is taking that care to get the specifications. I'm thinking that's what you had back in that 1957 Stratocaster. Did you get to play it?
I did play it. Didn't have an amp to run it through, but I did listen to it as I was playing a little bit, and there's definitely a uniqueness to it that my Washburn doesn't have, and not just that they're one's a Fender Strat and the other one's a Washburn. It was just there's a very different sense when you're playing it. It's and I hate to kind of get metaphysical or whatever, but I mean every instrument has its own spirit.
Yeah,
and you can kind of feel it when you're playing something like that.
Oh, Bruce Nowlin, you have to get metaphysical. Playing the kind of music that you play, you take people to different lands. You bring their minds to another land. That's something that a musician can do. Come up with an idea, yep. Put it down on paper, play it, even give it to somebody else to play it. Hey, look at these notes on paper. Hey, can you read music, by the way?
A little bit. I'm still working on that one. That's pretty tough.
Enough that you can put your own music on sheets. I don't know. Are there programs that you play and it kind of puts the sheet music together? There has to be.
They do have some software that I've seen not that long ago that I could actually go into Logic and mix one of my songs through there and tell the program this additional program to basically decipher everything, and it'll print out the notes and all that.
Oh, that is wicked cool. I
don't have it, but
these kids don't know how good they have it. I mean, somebody's going to listen to Rio Pecos or Catch My Love or Memories or Contemplation or Another Day, and they're going to go, man, I want to play that. They can't really play it by ear, but they know how to read music. So if you have that sheet music out there that you can available for sale, maybe another avenue. that some maybe a school band will play it at your local Austin football game or something. Just maybe on 6th Street somewhere, you'll hear one of your songs being played by somebody else. Have you ever had that happen?
The actually, me and a co-writer that I worked with in the past, they we were writing a song together for the television show Nashville, and our song actually made it to the final cut and didn't make it past the final cut. But
it didn't actually get on the show.
Didn't get on the show, but it was nice to know that we were the second choice.
What a heartbreak!
Out of thousands that were actually submitted.
What a heartbreak, though! But to get so close, oh my goodness! Oh man, one of my buddies, here in town, I've had him on the podcast, Rashard Washington Deshawn. There's a new show called Sing On TV, and he was on the 4th episode. I can't remember exactly what the title of the episode was, but he did good. I mean, it's nice that to have people that achieve their goals. That was one of his goals, was to be on a TV show and singing on a TV show, and I'm happy that happened. And he come back, into town, and he's still the same guy. It's nice, man. I mean, what goals have you achieved or what goals do you still have that you have not achieved? What you set little goals when you're in school. What have you achieved along the way? What are your turning points, your milestones?
Well, my ultimate goal when I was in school was to be a music performer, and I'm getting there. I mean, I still want to reach a higher height yet, but I think ultimately I can say that I've achieved success when, like, I walk into Walmart or a grocery store somewhere and hear one of my songs come up with a PA system.
That is cool.
I mean, to hear it on to hear my music on the radio. I've heard clips being used in commercials.
What?
Unfortunately, they haven't played the whole clip, but I've heard some of it being used in commercials, which means I do get paid for that.
Hey, that's great.
It was like I was reading I don't remember if it was Ted Nugent or it was another famous musician. I was reading one of their autobiographies, and he said he knew that he had made it, and it's my same dream, same goal. That he was walking through a store, and next thing you know, their song pops up on the radio. It's like, now you've made it.
Yeah, I mean, you see all the shows, like the what was that thing you do where hey, I hear my song on the radio, and they had this transistor radio, and they're running through the streets. It's my song. They're playing it on the radio. That was huge, and it's still huge to have something that you created out of your own soul, and you birthed it. I can't say that it's like having a baby. I could never know that. I could never take that away from a woman, but it's got to have a very maybe one step, 2 steps lower than that, where you've made this baby, this creation, and you want it to do good, and it does good. It does good, man. It gets on the radio, and it gets played on stations all over the world, and you get these royalties. Wow. On top of that, I'm making a little bit of change, a little bit of cheese for my cheeseburger,
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it's like I was I just finished reading Yanni's biography that he had wrote.
Who's Yanni?
10 years ago. Yanni. I didn't even realize that he did come out with a autobiography, but I had seen it at the bookstore and picked it up, and I was reading it, and he didn't actually realize his own success until he started dating Linda Evans. and she's like well, she had contacted his manager and said that she wanted to talk about setting him up to be on one of the local news shows that interviews people on their morning show, morning drive, and she was playing his cassette, and when he actually seen her holding it and like, oh, we listen to this every day, then he realized that he's actually made it big.
That is excellent, man. It's nice, and that shows a humble quality that he has. He's done these great things. I'm sure up till that time, he must have been playing shows. He must have been playing
Yep.
for people, and everybody's going, "Oh man, that's pretty good. I want to hear that again. Oh, that's pretty good. Let me get a copy of that CD or that tape or that record album. Let me get a copy of that. And just that. And still, I don't know if I've made it. But Linda Evans, yeah, va va voom. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, lucky guy.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, hey, we're all lucky in our own respects. I mean, so what other fortunes have you had? Other milestones along the way, Bruce Nowlin?
Still healthy.
Yeah,
and that right now in these times, that's a pretty significant one. Because I mean, with everything going on right now, that's so many people being sick, so many people dying.
yeah. You talked about November of last year. It feels like it was so long ago. Was that like what 20 years ago? November? You said you were at your buddy's house, writing a song and stuff. But so long ago. I mean, how you been holding up? How's Austin holding up? Are you still in Austin, or where are you at?
Yeah, I actually live in San Antonio, and actually in my studio out here in West Texas, and but Austin's changed a whole bunch. San Antonio, it's growing insane, and I mean it's hard to believe that town's 3 million plus people now. But hey, I guess progress is always good.
I guess in some respects, but people are getting out of big cities, especially with all this nonsense going on. The flight. Let me find a little bit more space so I can get out and breathe on my own. Don't have to wear a stinking mask. What drives me.
That's nice thing. Come out here to West Texas to kind of relax and be out in I hate to say just solitude, and it's definitely not solitude, but you're out here away from the big city.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little space, man. Even if it's just a room, it's nice to have a little space. You need some time on your own to think and contemplate things. But you, man, you get to think and contemplate things, and then put them down, put them to music, and send them out into the world. So as all this has happened since February or March, when we get locked down, what have you contemplated, and have you put any of those thoughts into musical notes there, Bruce Nowlin?
Well, that's actually what I'm out here in West Texas right now, putting final touches on my next album that I hope to have come out before Christmas. And it's going to be a major change from my last two albums. It's going to be a lot more piano focused. Still going to have the synthesizer, still going to have the drum tracks, still going to have a bunch of different instruments in it. One song's got a lot of Congo back tracks in it. I just finished up one song that's got the pan flute in it.
What? Who's playing pan
But,
flute?
That one's actually computerized.
Fantastic.
I couldn't master that one, so we're gonna go computerized on that one. But it's gonna be a real eye opener and a lot more accessible to a lot more people, being more piano based.
That's pretty prolific, man. And funny, there's only one pan flutist ever in the whole world ever, forever and ever. Amen. Is Zamfir. That's it. He's the only pan flutist that ever got famous in my eyes or in my ears. But you're very prolific. You said you just put an album out in July, and I like how you said album. Do people still do albums, and what constitutes an album? I thought the kids these days are just putting out singles. Here you go, 99 cents. Here you go, 99 cents. Here you go. What's an album?
Yeah. My last album, Third Dimension, has 13 tracks on it. You can get each one separately if you want to for 99 cents.
Yeah.
But my new album will be 10 tracks, and basically it's compilation CD. I just call it album, old school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I miss about albums, of course, is the liner notes, the artwork. You get this 12-inch piece of art that many of those covers of the albums I have, had hung up on the walls of my various radio studios, various personal homes, where you put the record. Oh man, that was a good record, but that record broke. Nah, that's okay. We're gonna put that sleeve up on the wall. It's art. And then you have the liner notes that give you a little idea of who they are, maybe a few more pictures of the band. That's something you don't get now. And then, the CD kind of shrunk it to, what is it, 6 inches? And, that artwork shrunk from 12 inches to 6 inches. I can barely see it, but still there's some notes, there's some pictures there. But now, are you putting out any photos at least with your CDs? I mean, with your albums?
On Instagram, I do put some photos. The CD I put out, it much like the music, I left it a lot to the imagination. What's available on when somebody buys it on Bandcamp or through Amazon, they'll get a brown sleeve with the CD in it, and the CD will actually have a little bit of artwork on it, kind of more of the third dimensional type feel, little outer space. The actual logo for the third dimension is a three-dimensional lion's head.
Well, that's pretty cool, Bruce Nowlin. They can actually buy an actual CD. There's still CD sales. It impressed me. It amazed me that there's still a large amount of people that get CDs, mostly people that are my age and older that still buy CDs. But I mean, most of the kids are buying digital downloads, and that's what they get. They put them in their iPhones and iPods and Android phones, and that's how they listen they consume their media. You read a book. You read Yanni's book. When I say to somebody, hey, I'm reading a book, I'm not reading a book. I'm listening to it on audio while I'm doing something else, while I'm driving down the street or walking around the block. It's so good that you actually picked up an actual book and read it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that something you do often?
It's another way of unwinding at the end of the day. If I don't have any song rattling around in my head that I want to put down, or if I really don't feel like even picking up the guitar or playing the keyboards, then I may unwind with the book. Or very rarely do I turn on a TV or watch a movie. Never really been a huge fan of the silver screen.
Well, you're a creator, man. You make your own creations, and that's great. Yep. And the books, I miss. Well, I do. I miss taking the time and reading actual books. But
one thing I'm actually looking at that you had brought up when I put out my album in November or December, I found a company in Wimberley, Texas, that actually does still press vinyl.
Would you stop? Any of your stuff going on vinyl?
I'm actually heavily contemplating doing a limited edition of my next album on vinyl.
At least have one for you, that you can say, look, this is mine. It's vinyl. It's the stuff I grew up with. I mean, hey, maybe not 8 tracks. Okay. Maybe that's gone the way of the dodo, but certainly, vinyl, this still has its place. And I know for a while, the kids were still buying vinyl. I still go to the local shop sometimes. Even Walmart's got vinyl, a little tiny vinyl section. Mostly it's reprints and reproductions, but every once in a while you can go to an antique record shop and find the original press of something.
I actually have 2 vinyl records in my collection from Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, buddy, you have to. He's from Austin. Represent. Well, I mean,
and those will hang on the wall.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, well, since you mentioned your social media, I guess we could start to wind this thing down. Let the people know how to get a hold of Bruce Nowlin and your music.
I can be found on Bandcamp. I can be found on, of course, you mentioned Reverb Nation or SoundCloud. My music's on Spotify. It's on iTunes, Amazon, Apple Store, Apple Music, and I do have a website. Bruce, heck, I don't even remember the name of my own website. Bruce Nowlin Music at Wix.com.
Bruce Nowlin. All right, man. Well, Bruce Nowlin Music at Wix.com. Okay, I'll try to put that. Well, I'll definitely put that all in the show notes so people can read that, look it up, and have an easy click to get out to where your music is. So, what's in the future for you, man? What's on the horizon as we break out of COVID quarantine? I know this is going to end eventually. This will end. What's on the horizon? Are you a one-man band, or do you want to play with other people on 6th Street and beyond?
Actually, there are a couple people out here in West Texas. We do go, and every now and then we'll get together and we'll go to one of the local clubs, and I'll play bass. We have vocalists and drummers and guitar players that will join in. A lot of rock and roll, classic rock, a lot of 80s rock. But for the most part, what I put out on CD, it's just me.
Very cool, man. Well, here in Conway, we have Conway, Arkansas, we have a TC's, and on Sunday nights they do the Sunday night jam, and it's band members from different bands that will all get together. And me just being out in the audience is such a hoot, man. I'll see, one the guitarist from this local band with the bassist from that local band, the drummer from the other band, and they're playing, 80s rock or hair bands or some class, 70s, what have you. But that's what it sounds like. Is that how it's going with you, where you get, people from all over that area playing together?
Well, when we get together and we play, we got the out here in West Texas. I mean, I actually have a place out here in Fort Stockton. Our guitarist, he's actually from Pecos, originally from New Orleans. The drummer, he's actually from a little bitty town called Balmorhea. It's the home of the only lake in West Texas, Balmorhea Lake.
Okay.
And we kind of all get together and we'll just jam hours on end.
Oh, you got a song out
until they kick us out of the until they kick us out.
Yeah, buddy. You got a song out there called Rio Pecos. Did you write that for him?
Wrote that for being out here in West Texas,
That's
and
pretty cool.
it's basically a dedication to the Pecos River.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, it's good to hear from a dude, Bruce Nowlin in Texas. You know, I know Texas. It considers itself its own little country, man. They're not even on the grid that the rest of the United States is on. You got Eastern grid, and then Western grid, and then Texas has its own electric grid. We don't need anybody. We're in Texas. That's good.
And
That's got
we got windmills and solar plants and going up left and right, so we have even more of our own electricity.
That is pretty cool, man. That's got to shape your life and your attitude growing up, you know, and it does make you want to be independent. And here you are, a one-man band. Maybe that was it. Maybe it's not, man. But it had to be a little bit of about being from Texas and having that pride and you know not needing anybody else to keep you going. Bruce Nowlin, you're the man. Anything else you want to explore? Any other avenues? Any shout outs you want to give?
Basically, my next goal is, I mean, I would actually get my music more established, and eventually, I would like to put on a concert in recognition for everybody, and kind of share it on a more grand scale.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so what's the biggest show you've ever played? You can brag on yourself a little bit. How many people were out there in the audience?
About 100.
And how did that feel, man? 100 people come to see you, man. Listen to your music. How'd that feel?
It's very energizing. I mean, when you got that many people and nobody's throwing stuff up on the stage, it's very energizing to get that positive feedback.
Heck yeah.
It's its own kind of drug.
Well, Bruce Nowlin, man, I've enjoyed chit chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit better. And I want to talk to you as things progress, as we break out, and as things happen over time. But you know, usually I end these things with last words for the people. Bruce Nowlin, it could be you know just words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, your mantra, or it could just be whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Bruce Nowlin, last words for the people.
Well, I'd like to say never give up. Always pursue your dream. And if I can, I got a 1-minute clip to close out of a song that's going to be on my next album.
All you. Well, there you have it, party people. Bruce Nowlin. Oh, man. From Texas, baby. You know, to look at him, you know, he's holding that guitar. You think, what's going to come out of that guitar? What's going to come out of this person? What kind of music is he going to play? It's some chill music, man. Some music to just kind of unwind after a long, hard day. electronica, ambient music, new age music. Yeah, Yanni, Enya, Vangelis, Pink Floyd, Flaming Lips. You know it. You know it. It's just going to make you feel relaxed. Yes. Thank you so much, Bruce Nowlin, for telling me at least a part of your story of how you came to be and where you want to end up, man. If you'd like to tell your story, yeah, this time I'm turning to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.